I currently work in exchange year marketing, I would say. And that is because I'm still a big advocate for doing the exchange year, obviously. Because my exchange year was the best thing that literally happened in my life. And I stayed with my host family. I had a host mom, host dad, two host sisters, two host brothers, and another host sister from Italy. And we all got along very well. I would call them my family, and they are still my family, of course. And yeah, it's been 5 years now, and it still feels like whenever I'm looking at the pictures, it feels like it was yesterday. Like time goes by so fast, but looking back to these pictures, I'm just like, that was the time of my life, literally. And yeah, I stayed in Texas, to be more specifically in Houston, Texas, and we were more of like the rural area. I don't know if you're familiar with Carlene's or my host family's location, but they are more on the countryside, and we had like a small, I don't want to say farm. I think farm is over exaggerated, but we had some cows and we had goats and dogs and all this stuff. And yeah, now I'm doing my degree in what is it called in English? Healthcare sciences or public health. And I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree right now. Yeah.
Awesome. So here you are, this young high school student. You're from the northern part of Germany, and you find yourself on really a farm. I do think your host mom's place is a farm. I've seen
Yeah.
video of it. So I think you're right. And it's rural. You know, you've got these new host siblings. What was that experience like for you as a very young adult coming into this completely new family and culture?
The first 2 weeks have been, I was disassociating with myself. I didn't really know what was going on, but like in a positive way. I remember I was just arriving at the airport and they picked me up and it was just like, that is not like reality. And we went out to eat dinner that night and I just couldn't grasp that I just arrived in the United States. And it truly was what I was wishing for. I always dreamed of living a life that was living with my host family, truly. And it also fulfilled my expectations. So I were already familiar with the culture. That's why I wanted to do the exchange here in the first place. But like the first 2 or 3 weeks were just crazy to me. Like people are just easygoing, especially in the south of the United States. And it's different coming from northern Germany because everybody's out to just function, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So you had to assimilate like pretty quickly. And you know, even to a lot of American people, Texas has its own culture that's almost like its own
Yeah.
country. I mean, it is a very unique and really amazing place. As you think about kind of some of the experiences that you have, maybe big ones, maybe small ones, what is maybe a memory from your exchange year? It could be a food, a place, a visit, a trip, something funny that happened, a conversation, just something that you still often think back to about your exchange year.
The most significant emotional one was with my local coordinator because everybody's just like, oh yeah, it's really important to be good with your local coordinator, and I was stressing out about it. But Carissa, my local coordinator for everybody, she is legit like a great person. And I had a time also during my exchange year that I also felt like, oh, this is not for me. I think everybody goes through that phase. I think it's natural, and it's also important to educate people about that time, that there's gonna be sometimes it's gonna be hard, but that is also the point, because I'm always telling people it's like these growing pains. I don't know what's called in English, but it's like when you're growing up, sometimes your knee hurts a little bit, but that doesn't mean it's anything bad. It just shows that you have to kind of go from one place to another to grow up and to be the version of yourself. And I had this time, I was sitting at my bathroom's floor, and I was texting Carissa, my local coordinator, and I was telling her, I want to go home. I'm missing home. I feel so homesick. And she's like, you're not doing that. Sorry, but you're not going to do that. I know that that was your dream, and we're not going to do that. And I'm just like, yeah, she's right. And even though it was really hard, I told to myself, and I also promised to myself, I'm gonna go through that phase. And after like 5 or 6 months, I was sitting at the same bathroom floor, and I was legit crying about going home to my family in Germany because I felt so home with my host family that I didn't want to go home. And it just, if there was a button to say or to realize being there for another 10 months, I would just immediately press it. Like, that wouldn't even be a question to me. And I think that's like the most significant thing that happened to me in my exchange year. And the craziest thing that also that was taught to me, because I realized that sometimes it's not always the fun stuff and not always the stuff that people post online. It's also the things that happen behind the scenes. And Carissa always said it's about the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's about everything together that makes the experience so good. And that is also the point where I grew such a good relationship with my host family, because I talked to my host mom, and I talked to my host dad, and to my sisters and brothers there. And that made the relationship so much better than it just have been like something really amazing. We always, we were always on vacation. I never had any problems. It were the problems and the obstacles that grew that relationship. That is like the emotional biggest significant thing. But like when it comes to objectively the nicest thing in my exchange year, it's the road trip that I went on with my host family, because we took this RV. My host dad bought an RV, and we were just driving on the west
Southwest?
side of southwest, I think so.
Towards Mexico?
Towards Mexico. We were driving towards Mexico with the RV. We stayed there in the desert somewhere, and we just looked at stars. And then we went to Arizona, and after that to California, and we saw, I saw so much. Like, it's just, whenever I'm looking at my photos on my phone and I'm just scrolling, I just cannot believe that I even experienced that. Like, in the same time span of like 2 weeks, I saw the desert, I saw the mountains, I saw the snow, I saw like the Sequoia Park in California, and I also saw the Grand Canyon. That was a crazy time. And mind you, we were literally 5 kids and 2 adults in an RV. That was crazy, but it's legit the best experience that I ever had. The resilience that I got from my exchange year is outstanding to me. There's nothing more. Even now, I'm 22 now, which is also crazy to me. But I was, it was like the first day of my university. My university, it's about 20,000 people there, and it's just a really big university, and I was really anxious. But I thought to myself, if I went on an exchange when I was 16, I can do this.
There's kind of like this two kind of pronged, I think, aspect to cultural exchange that's really interesting. The one I think is really the personal development aspect of it. So how it really transforms that individual. But the other thing, and I think this is actually sometimes the more fun bit, although sometimes I'm sure it's also hard, is the cultural bit. We talked a little bit about this before I hit record, but can you tell me a little bit about the culture of where you're from in Germany, and how that was the same or how it was different to Texas?
To be honest, it was a 180-degree flip around. It was completely different. I think it's 2 extremes in northern Germany with it's like a rural area where I grew up, and moving to Texas where everything is bigger, as they say, and Germany, everything is just itty bitty cutesy, and everything is different in so many levels. It took a minute or two to also understand what was going on there in Texas, but I was also coping it with accepting how it is. Like, it's so important to be open-minded, to not move to another continent and thinking that it's going to be the same as where I grew up. It's so important to understand that even though, like, from my perspective, I grew up with X, Y, and Z, it doesn't mean that that's always going to be the answer, or that that's always going to be the right thing for everybody. And that's what you learn during your exchange year. you realize that there are also other options and other answers. And that also is sticking with me still.
So this next question is going to be easy and just for fun. Favorite American movie and favorite American food?
Okay, favorite American movie. That is so, like, that is a very big
I really sprung that one on you.
stereotype. It's Mean Girls.
It's Mean Girls with
Yeah, I'm
Lindsay
sorry. It's
Lohan.
gonna be Mean Girls.
And then if you had to say your favorite American food or Texan food, what would it be?
But when it comes to food that I love, there's also so much. That's also the good part about Houston, because you can find anything. I could look up Vietnamese food, and there's like this 5 out of 5 star reviewed restaurant that I can find authentically made stuff of any culture, of any part of this world. But it's a really hard question. I think it is anything fried.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're in a great place for fried chicken,
Right.
fried steak, fried all the things.
Or anything Mexican also. That's what I love during my exchange here. Mexican food. I fell in love with the Mexican culture. It's also connected with Houston, of course.
Then this question is a little bit for my own edification, but I think that it would be helpful for maybe people out here thinking about hosting an exchange student from Germany. Actually, I part-time as an LC a little bit, and I literally, just before I jumped on this call, I think I made a placement for a German student.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm so excited. So what advice would you give to a local coordinator or a host family when it comes to really supporting and being there and understanding an exchange student from Germany?
I think the biggest part, or the most substantial part, would be being patient. People from Germany take some time to open up. I think it's really hard to understand that when you grow up in the United States, because in the United States, everybody's just like an open book. Everybody just talks about everything. You can meet people, as you already said, at the grocery store. And you're just like, oh, like it feels like we already knew each other for like our entire life. In Germany, it's not that way. We have our friends, we have our family, and it's just a very small circle that we usually got, but it's also very significant and very, very close. In the United States, it's a little bit different, and I think that's the part where it could get a little bit tricky for LCs, as you already said, to understand and to also grasp how German people work, because sometimes it takes a conversation or 2 or 3 to kind of warm up, but you can also tell when people are warming up. It just takes, it's like somebody snaps their finger and then it's just easy going, and it's okay.
That is real. That's a major cultural difference. That's not like something you can see the way you can food or music or language. It's under the surface.
Right.
And so
it
it's
also
cool that
confuses you. Sorry? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just that. Yeah, that can be really confusing too,
Yeah.
because you're trying to read social cues according to your own cultural programming.
Mm-hmm. It's harder to read the room when the person at the supermarket talks to me like my best friend in Germany. Really, really important for also the exchange to open up and to trust people. You know, it's like a two-sided story.
That's another thing. It seems like the cultural exchange makes people better at communicating, not just in a different language, but it makes them better at expressing themselves because they're put in a situation where they kind of have to.
Yeah, Americans are really good at expressing themselves.
Yes.
I admire people from the United States for being so expressive. You can go outside, you can just dance there, and people will join you. That is not something that I would do here. You could give me $1,000 right now. I wouldn't do it here because that's humiliating here. But in the United States, I would pay $1 or $2 to do that, matter of fact. You know, it's very different.